Hey guys, we are here today for another episode of the Dyno Report. This week, we're going to be doing the CTS Turbo lightweight crank pulley on my MK6 GTI. This will hopefully just let the engine rev a little bit better and reduce the parasitic loss from the accessory belt, including the alternator, the AC compressor, and the crank pulley. So we're going to get this thing installed and then we're going to test it out. But first, we're going to tell you where we're at right now. So the engine is doing incredibly well for where it's at right now. It is breathing much better than it needs to create the power figure that the ECU is telling it to create. Now it's going to create a little bit more because we are getting some more air in there and it'll adjust the air-fuel ratio just a little bit, but it's still making a little bit more. But what this pulley is going to do is it's going to reduce some of the parasitic loss that the engine is experiencing trying to get everything turning on the accessory belt, serpentine belt, insert X name here, and that'll help get some of that power that it's already creating to the wheels. Now, they say it's a gain of 5 to 7 horsepower, but you got to know that that's at the wheels. Power created in the engine is adding air and fuel and lift to the lobe, compression, all these things to create more power inside the engine. This pulley is not doing any of that. It is just reducing how much energy the engine needs to turn itself and to turn all of the pulleys with the AC compressor, the alternator, the idler pulley, those things. So it's taking some of that power that it would need to turn all that and actually sending it to the wheels, because it's all math and science and fun mumbo jumbo. Like, there's superchargers out there that take 200 horsepower just to turn them, but they create 600 horsepower. So it's a gain of 400 horsepower, even though it creates 600, but it takes 200 to turn it. It's kind of similar with this pulley. That pulley on the crank, not on the timing belt, but on the accessory belt, takes a certain number of horsepower to turn it around. Now, if you can reduce how much horsepower it takes to turn that pulley, then that power that's still getting made is gonna go somewhere else. Just, it's the conservation of energy, whatever the correct science term for that is. And that other place it's gonna go is to the wheels. That should improve 0 to 60 time, but we're still looking for that half PSI of boost leak that appears to be there. I have some experience with lightweight pulleys, and I mean, I loved it on my Audi. That was a naturally aspirated V6, and lightening those pulleys was actually fan-flip-tastic for the car. It felt so good and so much more drivable, but we'll see how it does on this. But this car's so much fun. Anything to make it more fun, I'm all about. I was kind of hesitant on the pulley change for a while just because I'm not used to messing with belts too much. But I did an alternator replacement with my friend Jake and just working on that with him. He's actually gonna be helping me with it just because I like to have a second set of hands so I don't get caught in some weird pickle and can't get something done just because it's just me. But just working with that accessory belt on his truck has given me the confidence to go ahead and buy this. It was on sale, so we've got it. And we're gonna see what it does. Pulleys can sometimes really be 5 to 7 horsepower, but it's not creating anymore. It's just getting it more to the wheels, which I'm interested to see how it does, see if I can feel it. I don't know, I'm anticipating it to feel like there's less resistance, which I mean, there is less resistance, but I'm not really gonna experience a lot of like peak horsepower, anything like that. I feel like it's just gonna move a little bit quicker. I mean, who doesn't love weight reduction? We love weight reduction around here. We're actually doing a video on weight reduction plus everything else to try to get our fastest 0 to 60 time that we possibly can. So we've talked a little bit about where this car is at right now, and we're doing something other than adding an air intake or something to do with the air to create more power to the wheels on this car. It's the first time we've done that in a while since we did some of the mounts. So I'm really interested to just get back there, get back to the garage, and put this pulley in. I like the weird things. I love lightweight pulleys. I know people are like, what about the fluid ampers here? There's the harmonic dampening or science mumbo jumbo musical instrument related things. I drove that thing, the Audi, with a lightweight pulley for so many thousand miles. It did not feel like it was out of balance at all. Anything was going haywire. Drove it across the country and back on its last leg and it did fine. The problem was not the pulley. That might be something that happens over 100 some odd thousand miles, but the odds of me having this car for another 100,000 miles before I completely redo everything is like this big. So we're gonna go in there and not worry about harmonic dampening because we're in it for the power. We're not really worried too much about comfort. That wear that it can cause without having the harmonic dampening is gonna be so minimal that over the life of this car that I have it as a daily driver, it's not even gonna be noticed. So we're gonna take this car back to the garage. We're gonna put the CTS lightweight pulley on, take it back out. I'm looking forward to it, so let's get back there. If you would like to watch the full install video on the CTS lightweight crank pulley for the Mark 6 GTI, please head over to my YouTube channel. Now, back to the car. And that pulley is doing the work that it's supposed to be doing. This car feels so punchy now, all across the entirety of the rev range. It is doing amazing, absolutely amazing. When I first got in and tested out and tried it, I could tell instantly that there was almost a lighter, easier, just easy breezy feeling to the engine. Like it just was definitely not having to do as much work to turn the accessory belt as it was, because this is an 80% reduction in weight. Now you get the full numbers in just this by the numbers video that we're going to be doing, which will be super fun. We're trying to get a little more, well, by the numbers. And that 80% reduction is crazy, and this car is loving it for it. It really is thriving with that lack of weight and putting some of the power that's made at the engine actually to the ground now. So the feeling of wheel horsepower really is gonna feel like an increase in power because it's getting it to the ground. It's not like your peak horsepower that you're making at the engine is gonna be 5 to 7 more horsepower, all these other things. All it is gonna be, it's gonna take that power that the car is making and not have to use as much of it to turn the air conditioning, to turn the alternator. Any of those things do not require as much energy now, as much horsepower. So now that power that's being made is going directly down to the wheels, which is exactly what we want, which is what we go for. And it is actually one of the first mods in a long time that, aside from the engine feeling like it's breathing easier and all this other stuff, genuinely feels like there is more power to the wheels. I'm not gonna say more power added because it isn't. I know you all know that, but power feels like it has been added to the wheels, and it really feels peppier, a little bit zippier across the entirety of the rev range. Specifically, I really feel it a lot in the lower RPMs because I know it's going to take a lot to get that heavy crank pulley moving and then keep it going from there. So because it doesn't have as much to move initially, it really does feel like just the lower RPMs have that much more punch to them, that much more just oomph to get this car going from a standstill and from the low RPM range. Now, I'm not gonna lug the engine like ever because that's not really what you want to do in a turbocharged car, but that low range is kicking now. It is doing flipping fantastic. I know that the engine isn't gonna be spinning at any higher RPMs or anything like that, but it really does feel like the car gets on boost a little bit easier just because of that punch in the low RPMs now. Getting up to 3,000 RPMs, getting into boost really makes it feel like we've actually made a decent difference on how this car would perform power-wise, because we're getting onto boost earlier, better, and just a little bit quicker. Now, really is not going to be changing all that much because we've done all this stuff to the intake and that's kind of set. But man, it spools. It spools very, very nicely. Now, one of the other interesting things about this pulley is it's actually a 20% reduction, so it's an underdrive pulley. And for supercharged vehicles, that helps you create more PSI on the supercharger because it's pulley driven, spins it faster on an underdrive. But for turbocharged, I mean, I guess it just helps make it lighter, I guess. That's one of the real ways you can get 80% weight reduction. But it's also gonna be spinning the alternator and AC compressor faster. So they're doing their jobs better now, which I mean, I can't complain. Love me some AC in Middle Georgia. So if we really wanna punch it, second, definitely has more put you in the back of your seat level power. Puts it down to the ground, grabs, goes. Whew. Loving this pulley. I love anything weight reduction related, anything a little bit other than just like more turbo pressure, air, yay, squish, bang, boom, power. I like the other ways, the sneaky, the cheeky ways of getting power to the ground, like mount inserts, stiffer mounts in general, lightweight pulley, anything like that is really, really, really what I like. I just love those creative, those different ways to get power. And when I did the pulley upgrade on my Audi with the V6, both the crank pulley and the power steering pulley, absolutely loved it, was doing so well. Really, really helped make that car just that much smoother, put the power down that much better. I know it's a big hefty lump of a V6 making less power than this turbocharged engine. That was also 15 years ago from this, but because we lightened those pulleys, it helped put that power to the ground, helped increase acceleration, really made it a more lively and punchy car to drive instead of a Luxo barge that it was. There's a lot of stuff that's compounding. I say it over and over again, but every little thing adds up, and this is one of those things. It's just helping that additional little bit of power from all the intake mods we've done get to the wheels. They claim 5 to 7, and this I could see 3 to 5 at the wheels. Obviously not making any more in the engine, but it feels really, really, really good. It feels really, really, really smooth. Very, very lightweight on the engine. That rotational mass is reduced, so it's gonna rev just a little bit quicker, and that's what it's all about. That smoothness, I don't know, I love it. This car really is becoming something that I wanna get in and drive. Just that little pop it down fourth. I mean, we're just at 3,000, and it still kicks pretty good. Even at 3,000 RPMs in fourth, that's not very high for doing that, but it still has the power to kick you back a little bit and make it a fun and enjoyable drive, punchy, energetic, and super fun. It's a really good word that I like in there, is energetic. That's what this pulley does to make this car, is it makes it really, really, really energetic. Just wants to go like a little dog and go, come on. It just really gets in, gets at it, and puts the power down, has some fun. I would not have it any other way. I know it is in gear and driving, but it really feels like that light and pulley helps it run through the rev range really, really, really quickly. It's actually a fairly noticeable difference from stock. That's kind of amazing. It's almost like you're accelerating a little bit quicker because you know the RPMs are increasing, and then there's always that linear rate from the gear you're in and the speed, because that's how rotational symmetry works. But it really feels like we've quickened the pace of this car. It's going just that much faster. Now we're working on a tune that'll get us the real power. But what we've done right now is phenomenal. This pulley is great. I absolutely love what it's done to the car. It's so much more fun to drive from an engine perspective, because I know the 2.0T, I almost said 1.8 because that's what I was used to in the Mark IVs. The 2.0T is not the most engaging engine to drive, but this pulley helps make it a little bit more fun, have a little bit more of a personality, a little punchy, a little energetic, like I said, like a small dog. And that's what makes this pulley totally worth it. It is super fun. It's a little scary to try because you've got to go in, torque the crank bolt to spec, and then give it a quarter turn, and then go out, test it, bring it back in, do it again. It's a lot of work to get this done, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty worth it. It's pretty fun. I really do enjoy this. Coming around a bend, pretty zippy because we've stiffened the chassis. Little understeer. Ooh, hello. Tires rotating. Down a slight hill, picks up speed. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. with that little power demonstration, we are actually going to be doing just one run of a 0 to 60 test, just because we're still looking for that power loss. We're trying to find it. We're going to work on the brakes a little bit just in case, because found a way to get some cheap rotors. But our target is 7 seconds flat right now. That we're just trying to get in the 6s at this point. And if this little pulley can help make that happen, then I will be very, 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 very excited about that. Just a little bit. Also, I'm still on slightly overinflated tires from our trip to Maine. I inflated them to about 40 some odd PSI, 45 I think it was, to get better gas mileage on the way up. And I'm interested to see if, because we're low on power, there's too much grip for these tires, and if we have it a little more geared towards less rotational energy needed, and we might get down the road a little quicker. I doubt it, I highly doubt it, but because we've had such a farce with the 0 to 60 times, I figured, let's just try it. Let's just have some fun and see what happens with that. Put them on 45 PSI and see how the acceleration is. It's gonna be a crapshoot, which is why we're only doing one, but you know what? We're gonna try it. So let's do a run on this weird setup. So we're kind of setting ourselves up on a small hill and a turn, but it's on a new road, so we want to test it out with this grip. So ready for run number 1 in 3, 2, 1. Nope. What did that say? 6.7? That was definitely that downhill. But 6.7 is not bad. Downhill a little bit, probably a couple tenths on that one. Thought I flubbed it, if I'm being 100% honest. I guess we got the grip there. I mean, I'm not complaining with the 6.7. That's pretty decent. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Have a great day. And remember, Jesus loves you. Bye.